How's it going? And today I wanted to show you how to do a levitating effect. For this you need the footage of somebody that levitating, and for this we just happen to have our friend sitting on a box. Fortunately, she only had to sit there for about 2 minutes while we got the shot. Once you get the shot, you need a shot of her in the scene and then a shot of her out of the scene, which is like your base plate or your clean plate. Unfortunately, this day we were kind of busy and I actually forgot to get the base plate. So I'm going to show you how I adjusted for that. And actually, once she is masked out of the scene, you could actually put her in any background. And I could animate her to make her float up in the air, but in this case I just wanted to show her already suspended in the air. And I wanted to use this background because the lighting and everything matched perfectly. So, and I think that really helps sell the effect. So you see a lot of these tutorials on YouTube, and this is really easy. They'll show you like you can do it in 5 minutes, and this isn't that difficult of an effect. But you do need to have the footage. You also need to do the masking. Now, in this case, I've already done the mask for her. I'll walk you through kind of what I recommend doing. So the first thing is making your window as wide as possible, like this. And then if you hit your scroll wheel, you can really punch in on it. And then of course you've seen it a million times. You click the anchor point tool and you go click, 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 click. But once you're done with that and you've added your points, if you right click and go to initialize tangents and click all, it'll go in and it'll smooth out all of these curves and add the bezier handles to them. And then you can just click and drag to move the points and grab the end of the bezier handles to make an adjustment. So like if I click on this point here, like if I click my normal edit tool and then I click on this point, you see those bezier handles. When you see the upside down V, that means you can just drag this one side of the curve, which is often what you want to do. But if you come over and you see where it's not the upside down handle, the upside down V, if you press Control, then it becomes that. So rarely do you want to turn both handles at the same time. You often just want to turn one handle. But if you hit initialize tangent, it'll smooth everything out. So you want to do like initialize tangents when you're doing a person or something that has a lot of curves in it, because then it automatically puts it in. Once you've initialized a tangent, it's just literally click and drag the points and the handles. Press Control every once in a while to change your tool like that. See there, I'm pressing Control, and then I can just bend this one side of the curve. You want to make a nice tight mask, as tight as you possibly can, and not show any of the background. And then when you go to do your feathering, you can do both, but don't put a lot of feathering in. If you put too much feathering in, you're going to blur out the whole image. So like, because the feathering is going to start expanding across this whole area, this whole thing will, her hand will start looking blurry. Here it won't look bad, but here it'll start looking bad. So you actually want to use as little feather as possible. Even maybe that's too much. So don't be afraid to hardly use any feather, is what I'm saying. And then once you've got your mask done, and also make sure you're on the first position. Now here I see something over here, but sometimes you'll get these points and it'll shift the mask, and so you don't necessarily want the mask to shift. So I'm just looking here, it looks like there's 2 points I created, so be aware of that. So I could get rid of one of them, like probably that one I can delete, and then just drag this to the first position. She didn't really move here, so I didn't really have to animate the mask. If I watch it play back, she held pretty still. So she did a great job actually. So that's another tip, is have your actor stay still. And then we close out of that. So then we have our mask, and so there it is. Now what I mentioned was I forgot to get the base plate, the clean plate, because then I could just pop that video right underneath, but I forgot to get it. So what I did in this case is I went into a copy of the clip. I took a copy of the clip from up here. I just dragged it back down here like that. And I deleted the audio tracks too. But then I came over here, I just got the rectangle tool, I put this in the first position, check mask, and I just drew a rectangle around here. Now if you ever make a mistake on your mask, all you have to do is right click and reset it. Once I masked out this part, all I had to do was go into track motion. Oh look, there's almost looks like 2 of them. We'll get rid of that. Then what I did is once you've have your halfway mask. Then you just come over here into track motion. You don't even need to grab it here. You can just grab it here on the X position, because that's the only way we're moving her. We're wanting to move the background. So watch, I'll show you. If I click here, see how I can move the, if you press control, it gives you finer control. See how you can just drag it and it stays perfectly level. So sometimes you could just grab this too, but you can grab it and just see how it might go a little bit up and then you're off a little bit. So you just want to make sure that Y stays at 0. You can do some fine adjustments here just on the using the numerical panel. So I'm just clicking now to get that finer adjustment. Yeah, until she's centered. Yep, and then there's that. And then the last thing you can do to help sell the effect is you can, if you go into effects and you go to layer dimensionality, this window's too big here. I'll turn it off and on. Let's see, you can add a drop shadow, turning it off and on. So you just come into drop shadow, you position the light location, and then you play with the opacity and the blur until you like it. And that it's a nice little touch, right? It's a nice little touch. So that maybe that's too much, maybe that's a little too dark, but so I can just add a touch more opacity. And what's cool is that it'll match to her any movements that she makes. And that's how you do a levitating effect. I mean, this is the basis of how you do any really effect where you're creating some kind of supernatural thing of someone flying through the air or levitating or things like that. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you don't mind me going over the masking part of it, because that's really at the heart of this effect. The heart of the effect is getting the footage shot right and then doing your masks, and not forgetting to get a clean plate, because I always seem to forget to get that. But once you mask the person out, I could literally put her in any other location. But like I said, I wanted to put her here because she matches the lighting so well already. And that's it. So I hope you found this helpful. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
Okay, we're recording.